We're essentially walking on ice, thin, 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 thin ice, meaning unconscious enough, participating in life, living vicariously through the Viking stories and tales, Norse myth, participating in our own haulings and believing in the caves and the books, libraries written by other people, Pharaoh, as if they were, existed the law to be, one, the unity, and the law of attraction. You know that's what is a bit tricky too, especially when it's causing you to be in pain that you cannot reconcile, because if you can't reconcile your pain, you're still unconscious. To reconcile in a cell, it equals pain and reconciliation consciousness rising as you're doing something about it. If you look at the problems of the earth, well, the same. It's like being on a hiking trail and getting on a rocking issue with a metaphor. It's a meteor, cultural person walking in complaints about the blood crumbings in their shoes and intersaking the centering doctrine. Just take this pill. You won't even notice the rawness of the file. And the next thing you know, you've edited the picture, and it's a bigger problem than you thought it was. But you found a solution, and you fixed it. You can't walk anymore in the same shoes of Jesus Christ. If you take this and mix it into the recipe, it'll represent a bowl, a new smoothie bowl with acai. A combination of high blood pressure recipes and the red blood pressure pill. Tending to magnetize and magnify introverts. Tending to shut down the same systems. Extroverted people, under stressing, dancing as an importance of the being. Introverts shut down all these things, so their blood pressure is dropping. They're breathing and smiling, and CPI holding your breath. They basically shove themselves down and numb themselves like a turtle that pulls its head in. For an extrovert, it's more like a warrior who's going crazy. Heart rates are pumping, going to respond to the same stresses in accordance with what it is. And it's said to the brain, tremendous increase in fearful thought as we are on Aramis comes of people. A number of people that contact me for help with the minds and won't stop projecting fearful thoughts from their accounts. Energy crises that I talked about. We have passively activated the aggressive behaviors in females. Passive, aggressive, and passively aggressively inverting the very, very large quantities of their indicators. Bodies and minds merging in the dance, bounce, eliminating stress. Huge amounts of auto rounds in systems. 4 gigs numbing down the 16 gig offer. Astronomic Tiki, keeping you alive under every condition possible. You know, in other words, it's regulating your biochemistry for your survival system without a conscious awareness kicking in. And autonomic systems are amplifying this spiritual prayer. This magnificent, enchanting chant. 6 billion lovers in a chemical reaction that's every second expanding, regulating that. Which is, how can you remember to breathe when you're under stress? How can you remember to jai jog when you're in the middle of lifting weights, running through the desert, building houses, skyscrapers, pointy buildings going out into the very sky that we look at every morning. The significant symptom of disruption of balance and function. The erectile function indication that you're dying. This is serious stuff. I mean, if you were to get into your car and to go to Topanga Bay, you're out of the blue. Another Warren says, you're out of water. You're like a fish out of the tank, on the floor, and you're empty. No breath in your lungs. Counterintelligence. Just driving into Disneyland and scoring the middle of the freeway serious engine problems. Maybe even completing the failure. Maybe even a car act. Mechanical malfunction. Cars 3, 4, 5, 6. Making a wheezy sensing. The whales. Updating the computer's update. Making sure we have the trendy news. And the score shoes. And the hairstyles of Harry Styles. Naomi Campbell nail polish. And everything that really is absolutely stunning. Essential, non-essential, even useless at times if you honor the Irgonaut. And you have no health and no light. A number of people that come to see me, they in very, very expansive cars, homes, a lot of rocks, opals, really eBay importance. Our golden hour, Chile, really trying to emulate the oldest pseudo successes. Then we have the massive problem of fungal encouragement, sinus infections and studies that show 90% of the world population has an active fungal infection, and other studies altogether say 90% of the world plucks hair, which is being eaten alive from the inside by parasites and fungus. Mother Nature herself coming to eat you with your vitality drop to below the level, sea level, seahorse, to Mother Nature. And Mother Nature, she obviously is interested and becoming conscious because she's here. Right here. If you want a real good, shocking wake-up call, if you're in touch with this thing and you're busy paying attention to what's going on, for real, is the program This Change. That is everything about Naomi Klein. Climbing Up the Mountain, comprehensive audiobooks, giving you right up the day statistics of the exact same formulas as the pipes which we are building, to Germany and corporate manipulation of the Nord, planet destruction, Nordsk, greenhouse effects villain, fastening the bullets, and coming into the void. This you want to have a box of Kleenex, especially grandkids and grandchildren who have children of your own. Because the fire principle is beyond such a absolute bananas recipe, which is really looking at some radical changes coming up. Radical fairies, Oskin Institute, outskirting the messages today, really worsening and seeing them in our bodies, in our lives, right now. And we don't need to wait to overheat the planet, to have people dying all over the place. We can start making these changes right now. We've been giving these gifts and indicators, which are real, legitimate opportunities for conscious awareness. So let me just give you a couple of simple examples. What are we representing? Well, look at the population right now, the number of people suffering from anxiety and depression, and fatigue, energy crises. Not too long ago, really studied the number one reason for visits to the physician's office was fatigue. Well, first and foremost comes fatigue, and then illness, and then disease, and then death. So we have some real problems because we're shocked as successful people get. You're really healthy and you're leaning into it. Sell real food. It'll get you unhealthy. It's just a great reason to sell me more drugs and more business to doctors and dogs. Just list on. As an example, the silliness of this speech and the food industry of it is a great example of the years that are passing by. And I'm building some deception, telling you about organic foods, organic farming, and farting. A fair bit of research into the food industry and into the diet industry. Diehards, gross, national products, the diet industry in the United States, something like $245 billion that year. It's growing. And the gross sales of food, commercial ants, organic, so good. $13 billion. What we see is the weight loss industries. Almost twice as profitable as the food industry. Yes. It doesn't just matter, it matters a lot. It's not really confused, it's Confucius. It's more money than unpackaged goods. Sinsa, in the sister, concrete crap. Just call and diet this, diet that. We are, in an actual sense, only 6% of the population of the planet, and all of this wine is really organic, which means it can be consumed by goddesses. $13 billion are spent on these wines. No whining, just drinking wine. Different kinds of poisonous crap. Not only funding the fungus and food processing industries, but funding the chemicals in the industries. And being okay with it. Just keep doing that, creating unconscious peacocks that acknowledge the norms and the matters of the state. Your Majesty, Your Highness, policing things no more, no longer buried. Just the same robot, corporate greed, hoping that someone works. So you have to look at your horse, your heart, and do what they really want. And look at the possibilities of reflecting, and we'll see the new exotic depression modes that equate to fears in the future, where you have no anxiety as a therapist. You're always interested in what is there that you're afraid of, that you don't think is going to affect them. And you think that it's coming, but it's not there yet. Smooth anxiety. Blend it with what people are anxious about. Take a test and do no vaccine. Be a bee, a working insect. You're not there yet.